people who you might call North York Moors activists. So the role of a North York Moors activist, well, there's a few of them. One of those roles is to look after existing routes, clean them up, refine them. Another one of those roles is to maybe plug new routes. And then the final role that a moral activist sort of take up is that you need to go beyond the North York Moors and sort of reach the wave and advertise it as Britain's last road climbing backwater.
That is zoomed in.
About 10 years ago, we were sort of climbing new routes as a group. It was largely me, Franco, Dave, Matt Ferrier, people like that. And Franco turns to us one day and says, guys, I'm going to start writing some guidebook. We've had a guide to the area for ages. And so everyone we thought, this is awesome. We're going to be able to showcase all these new routes. So we started working on it. And 10 years down the line, here we are. Franco has finally finished his guidebook. He spent 10 years of his life on it. He's spent his entire life savings getting it printed. And he turns to me and goes, we've got a problem. He says, you're the only people who climb the moors. Who knows if we're going to sell it for? So he's enlisted me as what you could maybe call some sort of North York Moors missionary. And the plan is to go around on a bit of a tour. This is the first one. I'm from all over. And we're going to go on a tour and we're going to sort of try and showcase the moors and try and change people's perspective of what climbing here is actually like. Because as some of you may or may not know, the large proportion of new climbers to the North York Moors is part of rugby. So it's all about changing the way people view the area. So here we go, on with the talk proper now. The North York Moors. Alright, so I know that here to some extent I'm preaching largely to the converted, so I just want to ask the audience a little bit about where they've climbed on moors so far. That's Jason Wood on Snatcherette at Scrubdale. So who's climbed at Scrubdale? Okay, Rainstones. Well, almost everyone here has reached the Wainstones, that's a good start. Alright, we're doing well so far. Okay, Ingleby Incline. Okay, a few less. Camp Hill. A few less again. Alright, we're doing fairly well. I'm going to test you now. Otter Hill Bastion. Alright, two, we've got two. Three, we've got three. Alright. So, there's quite a lot of you who have climbed on the moors to some extent. So, now, I'm going to do a couple of case studies here about the kind of issues that I'm dealing with here as a moors activist. Now, this is John. John is in the audience here tonight, and he doesn't know that he's in this talk. But I make absolutely no apologies to John for this, because every time I bring up the North York Moors, he likes to tell me how it's a tiny, tottering pile of choss. And unfortunately, this is largely the view of the rest of, he's quite representative of the rest of the climbers in Britain, to be honest. But, so John likes to spend his weekends climbing in the more exotic or maybe more touristy locations of the Peak District, the Lake District, Scotland, places like that. But what makes matters even worse is that John lives in Pickering. And every weekend, John drives past 198 crags on the North York Moors just to go find elsewhere. So this is sort of one end of the spectrum. I'm going to go to the other end of the spectrum here with maybe a little bit of slander here. Alright, so this is one of my mates, Will Hunt. I met Will when I moved to Leeds for uni about 5 years ago, and now Will could be described maybe as a stalwart of Northern esoteric. You know, Will knows everything there is to know about esoteric climbing in the north of England, and he actually runs his own website called Unknown Stones. Now, something that Will has decided to do is write a rival guidebook to some esoterica in the North Moors. And of course, Will being Will thinks he knows everything there is to know about esoterica in the north of England, and so he writes down North Moors and thinks, well, what do I include? I know everything there is. It's Wainstone, Scoopdale, Ravenscar, and that'll do. Well, let me just let you into a little secret. Will Hunt has never been to the North York Moors. Alright, so that's sort of what I'm dealing with here. And so, on to my first sort of step for changing people's perceptions, and I'm going to start with the audience here. And I'm going to use this picture of the classic Sphinx at the Wainstones, and I want everyone to sort of end up after this with a common Moors view. So that's the Sphinx. You can sort of see the Sphinx if you look. It's got an eye, it's got its nose, it's got its chin, and so I want you all to look at that picture very, very, very carefully, and keep looking right into the Sphinx's eye. Okay, is everyone looking at the Sphinx's eye? Right. Now we're going to start a few North York Moors incantations now. So I want everyone to just whisper to me. After you're going to copy me, okay? From Carol Cooks. Okay, keep going, keep going. I want everyone to look long and hard into the eye of the Sphinx. I'm hoping that you'll all end up. Some of you may already be able to see it. Keep looking. Come on. Keep looking, keep looking, keep looking. Keep looking. Alright, anyway, that's about enough dribbling. So Franco, I know he didn't want me to probably talk at all about him in this talk, but I've got to include him a little bit, so there's just a little bit on, to be honest, I've got to start with at least something aspirational, don't I? So this is Franco on one of his new routes at Landslip. I think it's got a new name and a new gang, but I don't know what that is. So Franco is someone who you could say has come to the Moors and looked at it with a fresh pair of eyes. And over the decades, loads of people have seen the gaps that are available to fill, but maybe not known how to go about filling those gaps, or maybe not even seen the lines that were there. So Franco's used a few different techniques that maybe only a few people in the past have decided to use. And so some of these are like pre-practice descents, like top roping, cheating. No, I'm only joking. And what this has really enabled Franco to do is climb routes that are sort of at the absolute limit of your physical ability, and with a really potentially dangerous fall situation. Something else that he's used is sort of bouldering mats, and that's the big slog up to Highcliffe, I think it is. There he is about to make use of those at Duck Crag. What bouldering mats have done is allow for previous sort of traditional height climbs to become into the realms of high wall bouldering. Click and stopped.
You can use the keyboard.
Can I? I've right click, what does that mean?
Just press it
Is
down.
that the end of the trigger?
No, you've got a menu up on that.
Oh, do I? Hold on. We're back on. Alright, so there's obviously, yeah, I probably should have asked Franco what pictures he was using here. But this is, as you mentioned, this is a route he did at, apparently a not very good route, according to him, that he did down at the Smuggler's Terrace.
To your left.
Alright, so this is another route, and this is Franco's mono wall project that he climbed. And of course, Franco, as you probably all know, is a sense of not all being without controversy. Franco, he's always been willing to put his reputation on the line for the good of the moors. And he wanted people to come, so he graded this route E10, which is arguably the highest grade in the rich grading system. And so anyway, but he was right though, because a few weeks later, who should come and repeat it but Dave Burkitt. And you'll probably all have seen the headlines, Dave Burkitt downgrades Franco Crooks and E10 to E8. But if I'll let you into a little secret, Dave knew what Franco was doing, and he actually ran Franco up that night that he repeated his climb and said, "Go on Franco, shall I tell them all it's E11? And then last one, Franco, this is still unclimbed, so something to look into the future. This is him on his project at K-Nest. But I know what you're all thinking, okay, this is all well and good, but I ain't no sponsored hero, but I'm willing to get stuck in cutting back the undergrowth and climbing new routes. So let me sort of introduce you someone else who maybe you could aspire to, and that's Dave Warburton. So, Dave Warburton, just have his name on there. Dave Warburton can probably be described as one of the most prolific new routers on the North York Moors, and I actually tried to count up just how many new routes Dave's done the other day, and I started at the top and I worked down, and I quite quickly lost count, but what I did manage to find out was that Dave has actually climbed 61 new routes of E4 and above, or E4 to E7, which I think, having only been climbing here, about a decade, is pretty damn impressive. Now, this is Franco about Dave. Dave's routes are renowned for their runouts and unjustified boldness. There is no romanticism in Dave's ascents, only a stoic momentum tiptoeing further and further into esoteric peril. And I think maybe that sums up Dave's climbing quite well, really. This picture on the left highlights that. This is an E76A that Dave did, which basically means it's very bold and very easy. And here's another photo of Dave. This is him repeating a silage field arrest down at Bolby, one of the more recently developed crags. One thing I will say about Dave is that I've noticed that he does tend to forgo any sort of form of protection like a B-layer or spotter in favour of a good photo. And here's another one. That's him down at Middlesbrough. Have we got that? And one more. This is Dave down at Halside at Danby. Standard Dave Warburton fighting the really E76B, 10 metre route, 20 metre fall. And I guess that's what it feels like to get to the top of Dave Warburton. Now, what I will say about this route, and Dave probably knows what's coming, is this has led me somewhat to think that Dave could be deluded, because I sort of asked, I thought, oh, maybe I'll give that a go this year. So I said to Dave, oh, well, what's it like? It's not too difficult, but it's bold, no gear, no gear. I thought, oh, okay, I'll hop down it and have a look. 10 pieces of gear I found on this route. Okay, so that's sort of a couple of aspirational things that you might look up to in the North York Moors, but bringing it back down a little bit, anyone who climbs in the North York Moors will know the sort of feeling of adventure that you get when you go to the North York Moors Craig. I mean, it's highly, highly unlikely that you're ever going to see anyone else, and that really gives the place, such a unique feeling, really. Especially when it's outcrop climbing, because outcrop climbing is typically very short. When you go to the moors, and especially, so this is a mate of mine, Jake, and this is us just starting out climbing Peak Scar, our first multi-pitch route, which was Mulligan Mania, a 10-pitch traverse of Peak Scar. And we didn't have a clue what we were doing, but that's what it's like to start climbing here, and you're not bound by the sort of ethics or what other people in the area are doing. You sort of left your own sort of devices and you can make it up as you go along. I think that's something really special about Middlefield Halls, is it's quite unique really. So when I was starting, as I say, not a lot of rules to go by, so I was generally emulating those sort of Moors activists that are going before us. And this was when I first started climbing with David DeFranco. That's a route called Warrior at High Crag. And of course, naturally, when you try to emulate the people who've gone just before you, you always try and one-up them. This is Franco on modern primitive at Ingleby Incline, and this is Franco on modern primitive, and this is Matt Ferrier a few years later, trying to one-up him. So another thing, what I will say though, is Franco and Dave were always really sort of supportive of us. They always shared their sort of new route ideas, really open and honest about it. And so when I was first starting out, I'm going to do a bit of my own Moors exploring here, and I'm going to go out. So I went out to Thorgil, and I found a couple of bits of unclimbed rock, and they look awful, don't they? I mean, that was the photo that I took. I thought, oh, well, this is great, I'm going to share it with the lads, you know, they're never going to go and climb on it, because it looks shit. But anyway, I'll show them anyway, I'm going to, this is awesome anyway. 3 weeks later, Dave Warburton, absolute bastard, didn't even invite me. So anyway, this became Thor's axe, and sort of, that taught me sort of early on really, that as the underdog you maybe have to be a little bit more careful. I can remember that, it was a little while later actually,